Stop wasting time, not because life is short, but because life is precious. Is the only gift given equally to all of us, yet it is the first thing we disrespect. We wait for motivation, we wait for perfect conditions, we wait for confidence, and while we wait, life quietly moves forward without us. Education begins the moment you realize that every hour is a classroom, and every moment is a lesson. You are either learning, growing, or repeating the same mistakes with better excuses. You don't need more time, you need more intention. When you say, "I don't have time," what you truly mean is this is not a priority. And that sentence should scare you, because your dreams are listening. Success is not built in grand moments of inspiration. It is built in boring, disciplined hours when no one is watching. Read when others scroll. Practice when others complain. Reflect when others react. That is how ordinary hours become extraordinary lives. Pain may slow you down, failure may knock you off your path, but time will not wait for your healing. Use your struggle as a teacher, not as a reason to pause your purpose. Educate your mind daily, not just with books, but with self-awareness. Ask yourself every night, did I invest my time or did I spend it? Because time spent is gone, but time invested returns with growth. Stop postponing your potential. Stop negotiating with your excuses. Make every hour count, not by doing everything, but by doing what matters. When you respect time, time begins to respect you back. And one day, you will look at your life and realize you didn't just pass time, you built a future with it. Time is not short, our focus is. Let that land before you rush past it like you rush past everything else that matters. You say you don't have time, but you have time to worry, time to overthink, time to scroll, time to replay the same fears in your head again and again. Time is not running away from you, your attention is. Your energy is leaking into places that give you nothing back, and then you wonder why you feel empty, behind, tired, unfulfilled. This is not a time problem. This is a priority problem. And the moment you accept that, your life begins to change. Focus is a decision. Every single day, you wake up and decide what deserves your mind, your effort, your emotions, and most people hand that power to distractions, to noise, to other people's opinions. You cannot build a meaningful life with a distracted mind. Education does not start with books, it starts with awareness. Awareness that your brain is being trained by whatever you feed it. If you feed it chaos, it will produce confusion. If you feed it purpose, it will produce clarity. Protect your focus, like you protect your dignity, because once it is gone, everything becomes harder than it needs to be. You don't need longer days, you need deeper hours. One focused hour can change more than 10 distracted ones. When you give your full attention to learning a skill, to improving yourself, to healing, to planning, you stretch time without adding minutes. But when your mind is split in 10 directions, even a full day feels wasted. Focus is not about doing more, it is about doing what matters without apology. Stop multitasking your dreams. They require your full presence, not leftovers. Discipline is not punishment, it is direction. When you choose focus, you choose growth. When you choose distraction, you choose delay. And delay is dangerous because it feels harmless. You tell yourself you'll start tomorrow, next week, next month, but tomorrow has no loyalty to you. It never promised to show up. Focus teaches you urgency without panic. It teaches you to act now, calmly, intentionally, consistently. Your mind will resist focus because focus exposes your responsibility. When you are focused, you cannot blame circumstances, people, or luck. You see clearly what needs to be done, and that clarity can be uncomfortable. But comfort has never created transformation. Growth requires attention, repetition, patience. It requires you to sit with discomfort long enough to turn it into strength. Train your focus the way you train a muscle. Start small, one task, one goal, one promise to yourself that you keep. Every time you honor your focus, your confidence grows. And confidence is not loud, it is quiet consistency. You begin to trust yourself again. You stop feeling scattered. You stop feeling late to your own life. Remember this, the world will always try to steal your attention. Not because you are weak, but because attention is powerful. Where your focus goes, your life follows. Choose it wisely. Choose it daily. Choose it even when you don't feel motivated. Because motivation follows action, not the other way around. Focus today is the education your future self is begging you for. Every hour you waste is an hour your future cannot use. And that truth is uncomfortable because it removes every excuse you have been holding on to. Time does not pause, rewind, or negotiate with your intentions. It moves forward with or without your permission. And whatever you fail to do today becomes a weight your future must carry. You are not just wasting minutes, you are borrowing stress from tomorrow, borrowing regret from the person you are supposed to become. That future version of you is watching your choices right now, hoping you will act with courage instead of comfort. Wasted time rarely looks dangerous. It looks harmless, relaxing, justified. You tell yourself you deserve a break, that you'll start later, that 1 hour won't matter. But hours pile up quietly, and one day you wake up wondering where your momentum went. The truth is, time wasted does not disappear. It transforms into lost opportunities, unlearned lessons, and confidence that never had the chance to grow. Your future does not need perfection. It needs effort applied consistently. Even when you feel tired, confused, or unsure, you must understand this clearly. Your future self cannot go back and fix today. It can only live with the consequences of what you choose now. That is why responsibility is power. When you take ownership of your hours, you take control of your direction. Discipline is not about being harsh with yourself, it is about being honest. Honest about what matters, honest out what is stealing your energy, honest about the habits that keep you busy but not productive. Education is not limited to classrooms. Every hour is either teaching you progress or teaching you regret. When you invest time in learning, reflecting, practicing, and building skills, you are giving your future options. When you waste time on avoidance and distraction, you are closing doors without even realizing it. Growth is not loud. It happens in quiet hours when no one is applauding you. Those hours are invisible to the world but unforgettable to your future. Stop waiting for motivation to respect your time. Motivation is emotional and unreliable. Respect is a decision. Respect your time by doing the uncomfortable thing first. Respect your time by showing up even when results are slow. Respect your time by understanding that comfort today often demands sacrifice tomorrow. The pain of discipline is temporary, but the pain of regret is patient and long-lasting. You don't need to be extreme, you need to be intentional. Progress is not built by exhausting yourself, it is built by aligning your actions with your values. Ask yourself before wasting an hour, will my future thank me for this? If the answer is no, pause. That pause is education, that awareness is growth, that moment of choice is where character is built. Your future is not asking you to be perfect, it is asking you to be present. Present with your goals, present with your responsibilities, present with your potential. Time you protect today becomes freedom tomorrow. Time you waste today becomes pressure later. Choose wisely because your future does not need excuses. It needs the effort you are capable of. Iving right now. Discipline is self-respect in action. And that idea hits hard because it exposes how you treat yourself when no one is watching. Every promise you break to yourself teaches your mind that your words don't matter. Every excuse you accept lowers the standard of how you live. Discipline is not about forcing yourself into misery. It is about deciding that your future deserves better than your comfort today. When you respect yourself, you show up. When you don't, you negotiate with laziness and call it patience. Look closely at your habits because they are a mirror. The way you manage your time, your energy, your learning, your reactions, all of it reflects how much you value yourself. Discipline is choosing what is hard now so life can be easier later. Undisciplined living chooses what feels easy now and pays for it with stress, regret, and disappointment later. Self-respect means you stop lying to yourself about what you are capable of. It means you stop waiting to feel ready and start acting because your word should be enough. Discipline creates identity. Every time you do what you said you would do, even when it's uncomfortable, you build trust with yourself. And that trust becomes confidence. Not loud confidence, not arrogance, but quiet certainty. You begin to move differently. You stop explaining yourself. You stop seeking validation. You know who you are because your actions remind you daily. Without discipline, motivation fades fast. With discipline, progress continues even on days you feel empty. People misunderstand discipline as restriction, but it is actually freedom. Freedom from chaos. Freedom from guilt. Freedom from constantly starting over. When your life lacks discipline, your emotions control you. When your life has discipline, you control your direction regardless of emotion. That doesn't make you cold, it makes you stable. Education teaches the mind, but discipline trains the character. And character determines how far knowledge can take you. You don't wake up disciplined one day. You practice it. You fail, you adjust, you recommit. Discipline grows through repetition, not perfection. Start with one small act of self-respect. Wake up when you said you would. Finish what you started. Say no to what drains you. These small choices look insignificant, but they compound into a powerful self-image. You begin to see yourself as someone who follows through, and that belief changes everything. Discipline also means knowing when to rest without guilt and when to push without complaint. Self-respect is balance, not burnout. It is listening to your body without letting it control your ambition. It is understanding that rest is part of discipline, not an escape from it. But rest must restore, not distract. Scrolling endlessly is not rest. Avoidance is not healing. Discipline teaches you the difference. If you want to know how much you respect yourself, look at what you tolerate. Tolerate laziness and it will grow. Tolerate excuses and they will multiply. Tolerate inconsistency and your confidence will disappear. But if you tolerate discomfort for growth, if you tolerate patience for progress, if you tolerate effort without applause, you build a life that does not collapse under pressure. Discipline is choosing your long-term peace over short-term pleasure. It is waking up and saying, my life is worth my EF. For today, it is the daily proof that you believe in yourself enough to act like it. Pain can pause your body, not your purpose. And this is something you must understand deeply if you don't want your circumstances to define your destiny. Pain has a voice, and it speaks loudly. It demands attention. It makes everything feel heavier, slower, harder. But pain is not a command, it is a message. And too many people mistake the message for permission to quit. Your body may be tired, injured, grieving, or overwhelmed, but your purpose lives deeper than muscle and bone. Purpose lives in your values, your vision, your reason for continuing even when standing still feels impossible. There will be moments when life forces you to slow down, moments when your strength feels unreliable and your energy disappears without warning. That does not mean you are failing, it means you are human. The mistake is believing that movement only counts when it is visible. Sometimes the most powerful progress happens internally, when you are learning patience, resilience, humility, and trust. Pain may limit how fast you move, but it does not get to decide why you move. Pain tries to convince you that you are behind, that you missed your chance, that others are moving ahead while you are stuck. That is a lie born from comparison. Everyone's journey includes pauses, detours, and setbacks. Education does not come only from success, it comes from endurance. Pain teaches you how strong you are without asking for permission. It strips away illusions and leaves you with truth. And truth, though uncomfortable, is the foundation of purpose. Do not wait to feel healed to stay committed. Healing is not linear. Some days you will feel better, some days worse, and some days numb. Commitment does not require perfection, it requires presence. Show up in whatever capacity you can. If you can't run, walk. If you can't walk, crawl. If you can't act, reflect. If you can't speak, listen. Purpose does not disappear just because the pace changes. Pain also reveals what truly matters. When comfort is removed, clarity arrives. You stop chasing what is shallow. You stop wasting energy on what does not align with who you are becoming. Pain refines your priorities. It teaches you to focus on what is essential, meaningful, and lasting. That clarity is education you cannot buy, and wisdom you cannot skip. You must stop apologizing for your pauses. Rest is not weakness. Recovery is not laziness. Taking time to rebuild is not quitting. The danger is not slowing down. The danger is giving up on yourself internally while appearing functional externally. Purpose dies when belief dies, not when progress slows. Protect your belief fiercely, especially on days when pain makes you doubt your worth. Remember this clearly: pain is temporary, but the lessons it teaches can guide you forever. What you learn while hurting shapes how you lead, how you empathize, how you rise. Many people succeed, but only those who suffer with awareness grow. Let pain educate you, not imprison you. Let it make you wiser, not bitter, softer in heart, stronger in resolve. You are allowed to rest without surrendering your vision. You are allowed to heal without abandoning your dreams. Pain may sit with you for a season, but it does not get to write your story. Your purpose is patient. It will wait for you to stand again. When you do, you will move with depth, gratitude, and strength that comfort could never teach you. Small, consistent actions defeat big, lazy dreams. And this truth hurts because it exposes how often you fall in love with the idea of success while avoiding the work required to earn it. Dreams feel powerful, exciting, motivating, but dreams without action are just stories you tell yourself to feel better. Action, even when small, even when boring, is what separates people who change from people who complain. You don't need a dramatic transformation, you need daily proof that you are serious about your future. Consistency is not glamorous. It doesn't come with applause or instant results. Most days it feels repetitive, invisible, unimpressive. And that is exactly why it works. Small actions slip under the radar of your ego. They don't trigger fear or resistance the way big goals do. Reading 10 pages, practicing for 20 minutes, writing one paragraph, saving a small amount. These actions seem insignificant until time reveals their power. Growth happens quietly, then suddenly. Lazy dreams are loud. They talk about what you will do someday, how successful you will be, how different life will look. But they demand no discipline today. They wait for perfect timing, perfect energy, perfect confidence. Consistent action does not wait. It adapts. It shows up even when motivation is absent. That is why consistent people win, not because they are more talented, but because they are more reliable to themselves. Education is built the same way. You don't become knowledgeable by cramming once. You become knowledgeable by learning a little every day. Your brain is shaped by repet. What you practice consistently becomes automatic. That means your habits are educating you whether you realize it or not. If you consistently avoid effort, you train avoidance. If you consistently take small steps, you train progress. Stop underestimating the power of small beginnings. Every expert was once a beginner who refused to quit. Every strong habit started as a weak decision repeated until it gained strength. Consistency builds identity. When you show up daily, you stop seeing yourself as someone who tries and start seeing yourself as someone who does. That shift changes how you think, how you choose, how you respond to challenges. You don't need to do everything. You need to do something every day. Progress is not about intensity, it is about direction. A little forward movement beats standing still with big intentions. When you miss a day, don't quit. Resume. Consistency is not perfection, it is persistence. The goal is not to never fall off, but to get back on faster each time. Small actions also protect you from burnout. Big dramatic efforts often collapse because they are fueled by emotion, not structure. Small actions are sustainable. They fit into real life with real responsibilities and real limitations. They respect your energy while still demanding your commitment. That balance is what allows growth to last. If you want to defeat your lazy dreams, stop waiting to feel inspired. Inspiration follows action. Start before you feel ready. Start while you feel uncertain. Start with what you have, where you are. Your future is built by what you repeat, not by what you imagine. Small actions done consistently are a declaration that you respect your potential enough to work for it every single day. Your excuses are louder than your potential, and that is a painful realization because it means the only thing standing between you and growth is the story you keep telling yourself. Excuses sound reasonable. They sound responsible, logical, even necessary. They protect you from discomfort and failure, but they also protect you from progress. Every excuse you accept teaches your mind that avoidance is acceptable, that delay is safe, that effort is optional. And over time, that lesson becomes a habit that quietly steals your future. Excuses thrive in noise. They grow when you talk more than you act, when you explain instead of execute. Potential is quiet. It does not argue. It waits for proof. It waits for action. And when excuses are loud, potential stays hidden, not because it is weak, but because it requires courage to activate. You don't lack ability, you lack permission from yourself to stop hiding behind reasons. Education begins with honesty. Honest assessment of how often you blame circumstances instead of adjusting strategy. Honest reflection on how often you say, "I can't," when you really mean, "I'm uncomfortable" or "I'm afraid." Fear dresses itself as logic to stay alive. It tells you it's not the right time, that you need more preparation, that you should wait. But waiting has never created confidence. Action does. You must understand this clearly. Excuses do not remove responsibility, they postpone it. The problem does not disappear because you avoided it today. It grows stronger. It becomes heavier. And eventually you face it with less time, less energy, and more regret. Silence your excuses by replacing the M with questions that move you forward. Not "why can't I?" but "how can I start small?" Not "what if I fail?" "What will happen if I don't try?" Excuses also protect your ego. They allow you to feel capable without being accountable. As long as you have a reason, you don't have to test your limits. But self-respect demands risk. It demands vulnerability. It demands that you step into uncertainty without guarantees. That is where growth lives. Comfort is not the goal, character is. When you stop excusing, you start leading yourself. You become someone who responds instead of reacts, who adapts instead of avoids. That shift changes everything. Your confidence increases, not because life gets easier, but because you trust yourself to handle difficulty. That trust is earned through action, not intention. You don't need to eliminate excuses forever. You need to catch them early. Listen to your inner dialogue. Notice when your mind starts negotiating. That awareness is power. Pause, breathe, choose differently. Each time you act despite an excuse, you weaken its voice and strengthen your discipline. Your potential has been patient with you. It has waited through delays, doubt, and distraction. But patience is not endless. At some point, you must decide whether you will continue explaining your life or start building it. Lower the volume of your excuses. Raise the standard of your actions. Let your effort speak louder than your fear, because the life you want is waiting on the other side of the excuses you are finally willing to let go.